an online migration of a very large database to Azure SQL DB. You say you must be out of your mind, Dan. Well, let's be out of our minds together by using transactional replication to get that done on today's Tales from the Field.
It's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good.
If this is your first time finding us on Tales from the Field, give us a like and hit that subscribe. We at Tales from the Field drop content on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. On Tuesdays, we have this thing we call the Roundtable, where we share blogs, videos, or posts by you, the Azure community, for the Azure community. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays, we drop this thing we like to call MS Tech Bits. You're watching one of those now. Let's get over to it. Let's talk today about using replication to migrate to our Azure SQL database. On the screen, we have supported configurations and the versions of SQL Server that are required to migrate from our publisher, the SQL Server, to our subscriber, the Azure SQL DB. We're going to see on the documentation that we have the types of replication. And in this case, our Azure SQL database can be the subscriber of standard transactional replication and snapshot replication. I also recommend coming through and reading the remarks about using replication to migrate to Azure SQL DB. And then in our case, today we're going to use replication as a data migration scenario. We're going to migrate our SQL Server database to our Azure SQL DB. All right, on the screen, you can see the environment that I'm going to be utilizing here. I have my jump box. I try not to ever log into my production server. I have my production server there, my SQL Server, and I have my Azure SQL DB with the Stack Overflow large database already created, one of the prerequisites there. Switching over to our SQL Server Management Studio on our jump box, you can see I have my SQL Server instance on the screen. Now, we're not going to go deep into replication today. The goal of this video is to show you that replication can be used to migrate to Azure SQL database, but expect a deeper dive into transactional replication in future videos. On the screen, I'm highlighting my publisher, and here I also have my subscriber, which is our Azure SQL DB. So I've already set up transactional replication on my SQL Server instance. I have my distribution database here. So our SQL Server in this case is acting as the distributor and the push publisher. I'm going to open Replication Monitor. I'm going to open up my publisher there on the left-hand side. And you can see I have my publisher. We're going to go down here to where it's running underneath the subscription watch list, and we're going to hit View Details. With View Details selected, we can go to our publisher to distributor history. That's going to show us some information. In this case, we're no longer replicating transactions. Most importantly, what we want to see is that we have underneath undistributed commands, that being a 0. We don't want any commands still taking place or being replicated to our publisher. This is indicating to me that my initial snapshot of my transactional replication is complete. Also on the screen here, I did a row count between my target and my source. The row counts match, also validating that all of our transactions have been published to our subscriber. Okay, let's do a simple insert into our tags table here to move some data from one table to the other. Let's launch our replication monitor. We're going to go to running underneath here. Underneath our subscription watch list, we're going to look at View Details. It's going to show that we have transactions being replicated from our publisher to our distributor. With those transactional records logged to our distribution database, we can now start moving data from our distributor to our subscriber, our Azure SQL DB, as indicated here on the screen, delivering replicated transactions. This is moving our data now from our distributor to our subscriber, our Azure SQL DB. And switching to the undistributed commands, the screen here indicates that the number of commands is slightly over 8 million that needs to be pushed to our subscriber. Ultimately, what we want to see is we want to see this big old goose egg there on the screen. Look at that magic. we have published all of our records now to our subscriber. As indicated on the screen here, that no replicated transactions are available. It shows that we replicated approximately 1 transaction with 8+ million transactions there, and we have 0 undistributed commands, indicating that our replication has pushed all of our transactions from our publisher to the subscriber. We can run a quick query here against our Azure SQL DB tags database. I know that all the records that I migrated were greater than that value there in the where clause, and you can see we have data. We could also validate by running a row count against our Azure SQL DB and our SQL Server, and there we have it. The tags tables match on both, indicating that all of our transactions have been pushed from our publisher to the subscriber. With all of our transactions replicated, we are now ready for cutover. So we want to stop the synchronization from our publisher to our subscriber. So within the replication monitor, we can go to our subscriber watch list and we can stop synchronization there. We also want to look at deleting the subscriber from our publisher. You can go over to your SQL Server Management Studio and you could hit delete underneath our publisher there of our subscriber, our Azure SQL DB. And there you have it. We migrated a very large database, significantly decreasing our cutover time by using replication to Azure SQL DB as compared to when we use data migration service. SQL Server replication for the win, significantly cutting down our cutover time when migrating a very large database to Azure SQL DB. You know where we like to keep this going. In the comments down below, let us know what you think. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into the channel, and be good to each other.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.